Hello, welcome back. My name is Vazco the Gamer, and today I'm basically just going to talk about what do we do with, our lives. What's your goal in life? What's your ambitions? Well, my ambition, if you're asking me, why wouldn't you? I'm on the internet after all, is that, I just hope to reach as many of you as I can during the span of how long I'm doing, YouTube or, making videos in general, and just try and make you feel a little better or help people in general. If it's through a live stream, donations, or, just some advice here and there, then I'm pleased. Basically, easy as that. End the video, or we could continue a little bit on. And, sorry for a head scratch, but my head scratch. Anyway, that what I want in this life is basically to make a lasting impact. And that is one thing I believe most of us want, to make sure that we have some sort of a legacy. If it's through, having offspawns like children, or if it's to change the world or make it a little bit better place. I think everyone has a bit of that in them. It's part of the human race, after all. It's one of the values that we share. We want to make this a bit better place, and that is quite important. We want to make a better future for the next generations that come. At the same time, if it's politicians or if it's the general public, tend to forget about one thing though. We need to make it better for those who are here now as well, and that is very important. That is the most important, actually, because of course we need to make sure that next generation have it well and are off to a good start and have a good life, but don't have that direct expense on the cost of today's generation. Those who are called millennials, or I don't know, it seems that you got millennials that are born between 80s and 2000s, and this group that I belong to is often it's we have a span of 20 years here, people. Those who are born in the 80s or 80 blank right now is now 37. Those who are born in 1999 are now 80. Oh, god damn. They're that old already? Yeah. We're talking about 10 years ago. We're talking about 2008 when the Olympics were in Beijing. Think about that. We're not in the 90s. We're in the late 2000s. And that is something that we need to discuss a bit. Because, of course, because of climate changes and all that, we need to address that situation. But at the same time, we also to discuss that, we want, or rather we need to address mental health because we want a good generation to grow up. We want a lot of people to grow up, to be good, to be kind, and to, help each other out. Because if you can make an entire generation care about each other, that's a first, basically, in the span of humanity. And even though we're in pretty dark times on a lot of things, I just hope that we can have a brighter future, or a future at all, together without. A hope would be without any wars, that you reach a point where there is none. That is something that a lot of people are currently working towards. Then again, I don't see that many who support that we can have a system where people with diagnosis, without diagnosis, that has a lot of symptoms or has a diagnosis but isn't diagnosed, people with mental challenges, people with just psychological problematic situations, or physiological problems and challenges are taken seriously. And so that is what I want to address today. That if, well, for any reason I would cease to exist or just disappear off the face of the earth, trying to help each other out. Anyway, because why else would we be a tribal community or be a community at all? Even if one person fall, you shouldn't have to create or have to wait for another to pop up. Life should go on in some shape or form, and a society needs to do that. And so, my ambition is basically leave an impact that will help you guys who watch this will reach an understanding or be in a better place than you were. If it's just a temporal thing, well, good. I still managed to make your day better. If it's not, well, if it's a permanent thing, that is amazing, and I would never guess that, but for me it's most important just to make sure that you have a bit better. If it's for 5 minutes or for 5 days or 5 years, well, you have it better than you were beforehand. And that's basically why I do this, because it's partially for myself and to, well, in the beginning it was partially for myself and just to monitor my tics when I did normal things or talked about anything, really. And then it changed, because I realized that, okay, I want to see if I can affect some people. I want to see if I can help some people. And, well, the truth is, if you have been bullied, if you have a bad childhood, usually, even if you haven't had that, if you are, well, diagnosed free and no symptoms or mental challenges or anything, you still want to help people in some shape or form. And I hope that most people are like that. That is, well, the mentality I'm going out with. That when I leave the house, I just think that, okay, out here is a lot of people. There are bound to be at least some percentage that is, or that wants to help others. At the same time, it's important to remember that, yeah, there are always those who are that selfish that, well, what's mine is mine, don't take it. And to those I say, okay, keep it, but please just consider. Consider that maybe someone else needs it a bit more than you. Of course, if you're in a tough space, of course, there are situations where you can't, and there are situations where you give so much that you don't have anything left. Those are not that good places. At the same time, it's important to remember that if you can help someone, I would encourage you to do so, to the point where it severely affects your, well, limit. And, well, that's why I do this. That's why I try and upload a video every day, just to keep everyone, one, entertained for some reason, and two, just to make sure that we learn something new and have a better perspective of things. I'm not the smartest one. I've never said that. I'm not the one that is most compassionate, because how the bloody hell can you measure compassion? I wouldn't try and do that, because it's a human thing. Don't try and believe that you can even quantify that, because we all have our own struggles. And that's fine. That's completely fine if you're struggling with something. We all do. None of us are perfect. What is perfect? Perfect is boring. And, well, I would argue that none of those who are watching this video are particularly boring. Sure, it can be boring sometimes, but then again, not most of the time. We are individual. Who cares about each other? And just for the sake of the discussion here, I do want to say that to everyone who has had a diagnosis and has battled through it or battled with it to the extent that you feel like everything is lost. Well, you battle it for so long, with or without help, that I just want to say you are particularly strong. You are impressive. And I wish I had a percent of that strength with me right now. If you fight or fought rather a diagnosis or a treatment or a challenge for a day, a month, a year, doesn't matter. If you were born with a diagnosis or diagnosed at the age of 23 like I was, doesn't matter. You had it in you the entire time. And that's the important thing. If you were diagnosed with, let's say, for the sake of discussion again, with ADHD or Asperger, and you shaped your entire life around it because you had it with you all the time, okay, that's how it was. Let's see how can we use it for better, for the future, for tomorrow. Like with ADHD, if you have a variant that is very energetic, well, you don't need that much coffee. And at the same time, if you have OCD, well, if I ever need someone to come and lock the doors in my shop, I would of course hire you immediately, because I know that you will do that 17 times. And so we need everyone. We need every single one who struggles with something. If you ever think that, what can I help with? What can I do? Well, think about it this way. Someone always needs you. If it's not family, it's friends. If it's not friends, it's someone else you haven't thought of as a friend or as anything. It could be a random citizen over there. They may need you. Everyone needs someone. And that is what I want to leave you with today, basically. That everyone needs someone. And let's try to be that someone for a random person out there that you haven't talked to yet. Just go to them and say, hey, how you doing? Or compliment them if they were something nice, or just because they exist. Hey, thank you for existing. I know that's a very weird thing to say, but you know me, I'm weird as all hell. And at the same time, let's say schizophrenia, that if you can see things that's, well, aren't really there, okay, fine, I wish I had that imagination. Of course, not to that extent, but then again, there are a lot of things that I wish that I had with me growing up. I had a vivid imagination, that's for sure. That's because the reality of situations was not particularly good for me, and so I drew myself away with daydreams all the bloody time. To the extent that, well, I could mostly drift out of the situation anytime I wanted. Of course, having some diagnoses are troublesome, but that's none of my concern really. That is also depending very on the situation. For instance, you may never take me to church. Damn it. Take me to nope. Because I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to embarrass myself, that's no problem. Or making a scene. It's that if I'm not ready for it, I won't do it. Easy as that. That is also with a lot of other subjects. I'm not going into in this vlog at the very least. At the same time, it's basically very easy and forward. If you can help someone, help them. Say hi to someone you haven't met yet. How do you say hi to someone you haven't met yet? Go over to a random person and say hi. It's easy. Like me, I don't use certain, well, nicotine products, so I'll just go over and just, here, enjoy. I see you just were finished with yours. Have one of, well, the one I bought. And easy as that. It's a very childish way of thinking, but then again, children can be surprisingly smart about these things because they haven't been, well, doctrinated, I would say, to think that everything has to be so complex. The complexity of things are mostly just because that we're overthinking things or we have set a set of rules here that don't really exist. Like basically every single rule ever. And so why not just try and change those? Stop stereotyping things for once, which I'm trying myself, but then again, I have a very weird sense of humor and imagination. So, for instance, in the picture behind me, I can see a boat if I want, and pretend I am on the boat, just rowing away. Like with every argument I ever had with everyone, just, I know what I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm saying. Okay, a bit faster now. Anyway, I just want to say this. I'm proud of you. I know you've been through a lot. And I hope that, well, some words may reach you and help you. Anyway, that's it for me, Vasco. Goodbye.